Kentucky on the recruiting trail. Nate Ament, a 5-star prospect that Kentucky had a visit canceled with him recently, but they're going to get it rescheduled, and Kentucky is absolutely right there, I think, in the thick of it with some other big-time programs. Let's break this down for you guys here real quick. First of all, who is Nate Ament as a prospect? Nate Ament is a 6'9", 185-pound small forward, power forward in the 2025 class. I think you could play him at the 3. You could also play him at the 4 because of his height and his length. A 5-star player, number 6 overall prospect in the 2025 class, number 2 small forward, and number 1 player in the state of Virginia, plays at Highland High School down there in Virginia. The Cavaliers of Virginia, and then Virginia Tech and Duke are 3 of the teams that are in hot pursuit of him right now, alongside a number of other big-time programs. Obviously, he's the number 3 player according to On3, but number 6 according to the 24/7 Sports composite. Consensus 5-star, consensus top 10 player, consensus top 5 prospect at that small forward position. Gifted face-up scorer. If you go and watch his highlights, you can absolutely see the scoring when it comes to Nate Ament. And when I say scoring, I don't mean just like putting the ball in the basket. I mean shooting. I should be more specific here. It's the shooting with Nate Ament. Very confident outside shooter, can handle the ball really well, utilizes his length inside the arc to kind of drive into the lane and finish with floaters and layups. He's a lot taller than some of the players that he was getting matched up with in high school. And in transition, the man does major damage. If you go and watch again his highlight reel, playing on different circuits, you will see him constantly find his way into the corner to knock down outside shots, playing an Andrew Karish type of role, an Ainsley Almanor type of role when it comes to the transition offense. I could imagine working inside a little bit, but also being really deadly on the wing and from the corner. This is just an all-around gifted prospect when it comes to scoring. He's also solid in post-ups. He, again, really likes to face up, really likes to back his man down, turn around, and then go to work from there, either hitting fadeaways or just face-up jump shots. I love the ability to handle the ball, to score in bunches at that height. It is just incredible basketball to watch. Great touch at 6'9". Kind of reminds you of a Jabari Smith, perhaps a Kevin Durant, if things were able to really elevate here in college and beyond, as far as his ability to knock down shots at that height. I would honestly probably go a little bit more in Durant's direction because Jabari's not the best ball handler. Durant, obviously, one of the most gifted scorers of all time. Ament absolutely checks all the boxes when it comes to panning out in the NBA, panning out in college ball. Here's what he had to say recently to On3's Jamie Shaw. He said, "We were supposed to have a visit with them in, I believe, at some point this fall. I think Kentucky at one point had that scheduled, but it was canceled." He said, "We were supposed to have a visit with them, but it got canceled, unfortunately. I'm going to schedule another one with them here soon." Coach Pope is a really passionate guy. He talks basketball a lot, and his message to me is to keep shooting and being the player that I want to be. Kentucky is one of those places I can go and shine as the player I am. Kentucky also visited him this past week while he was playing for, I believe, the Elite 24, the Under Armour Elite 24 Nike Skills Academy. Earned a gold medal this summer on top of all this with USA Basketball in the U18 American Cup. This is what Ament had to say about the event. He said, "The Elite 24 was a fun event. Anytime I get on the court, it's going to be fun. But this was the end of the summer, and we had a lot of fun there. The Slam event had a lot of highly touted guys there, and I wanted to make a name for myself. I knew if I played to the best of my ability, everything would fall into place. It was good to get out and play with all the guys you see on social media and Sports Center and all." He also talked a little bit about his game, averaging 15.4 points, 7.7 rebounds, while shooting 41.7% from 3 with the team-loaded VA program on the Adidas 3 SSB circuit. He said, "Since last high school season, I've gotten tougher. I've gotten a lot stronger. I'm still attacking the weight room and trying to get downhill as much as possible to put pressure on the rim that opens up all the other facets of my game." He has received offers from a number of places, but he this week had visits from Kansas State, Georgetown, Notre Dame, Kentucky, and Louisville. Virginia, Duke, and Kansas all had assistants there to see him as well. He had a lot to say about every single team that took a look at him. He talked about Jerome Tang and Kansas State, Ed Cooley with Georgetown, Notre Dame with Shrewsbury, Kentucky and Mark Pope, Louisville and Pat Kelsey. He talked about his unofficial visits that are coming up and have already happened with Virginia, Duke, Georgetown. He is really looking forward to kind of wrapping things up here as the season, his basketball season, I should say, wraps up later on here in the coming months. I think that this is one of the best prospects that we've covered on this show, period, just in terms of raw scoring ability at that height on top of the ball handling. I think Pope's message to him, hey, look, we've talked a lot about how Pope has been advertising national title to these guys, but when it comes to these one and dones, sometimes the big thing to advertise to them is their ability to shine and to make their presence known on a high-profile team so that they can go and make a statement in the NBA. You're not going to be able to sell the national title script to everyone. Some people are going to buy into it, other people are not. Nate Ament's one of those guys where, look, if I were him, I was 6'9", 185 pounds, and I could knock down threes at a 42% rate, I would be looking to say, where can I go to get a significant role on a team that's going to have a lot of NBA scouts looking at it? And I think Kentucky, hey, that's the perfect program to go to. Obviously, Duke is another great answer as well, but the Wildcats, I think, would be just as good if you're looking at your offensive game. If Pope's telling him, hey, just keep shooting, I think you would be able to get a lot of shots up with the Kentucky Wildcats, especially considering what's going on at the power forward position next season. Something that I want to reiterate to you guys. Kentucky is going to be very thin at that position next season because of the guys that are leaving. They're actually, if I'm not mistaken, they're not going to have anybody to play at the 4 comfortably. So you're going to have to bring recruits in. You're going to have to bring transfer portal players in. I would love to see the Cats either get Nate Ament or get Chris Senek at that power forward spot. I think they got to get one to be comfortable. You don't want to just log jam that position with transfer portal players again. And I know that Kentucky's really high on Andrew Carr, and I think Almanor will be good in spurts, but still, getting these guys in to develop them and to get them working through your program for an extended period of time to not just be there for a single season. I think you could see that with the way Kentucky's recruiting. Guys like Nate Ament, sure, they're one and dones, but they're just so talented. I don't think you can pass on them, especially if you're going to make up the rest of your roster with more experienced players coming back, transfer portal players and all that. I've continued to say this, and I'll reiterate it here. It's not about one thing. You cannot add things to it. You cannot create a roster in one specific way to create a national title winning team. It is not just recruiting. It is not just transfer portal players. You have to be able to get a blend of everything to make a run at the title. I think UConn has really, really proved that as of late. So Nate Ament, just a gifted player, excited to see what he does, even if he doesn't come to Kentucky. I think he'll be a really fun player to watch. Let me know what you think in the comments below about Nate Ament. All right, I want to wrap up the show here today talking about one of the most disappointing things that I've seen as of late, and that is the way Kentucky football played on Saturday against the South Carolina Gamecocks. Guys, this was a game that I thought Kentucky was really going to have a shot in. Like to just blow South Carolina out of the water. And I understand the recent history, but this was really, really bad. And we got to talk about it. Before I get to all of that though, I want to tell you guys about our friends over at Ibotta. Ibotta is a free app that lets you earn cash back every time you shop. You can earn hundreds on items from groceries to beauty supplies, even toys, so you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. The average Ibotta user earns $256 per year. That could cover the cost of an entire shopping trip or that flight that you've been eyeing or even the fancy dinner that you've been craving. Other apps give you points that don't amount to much, but with Ibotta, you earn cash back that you can withdraw to your bank account, PayPal, or gift cards. You can simply add offers in the app, upload your receipt, and voila, the money is yours. Right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners just $5 for trying Ibotta by using the code LOCKEDONCollege when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app to start earning cash back and use code LOCKEDONCollege. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store and use code LOCKEDONCollege. All right, wrapping up the Monday edition of Locked On Kentucky. Lance Dawe hanging out here with you. Let's go ahead. Let's talk about it for just a minute here to wrap up the show. It is one of the most disappointing games I have seen from Kentucky athletics in a very, very long time. South Carolina 31, Kentucky 6. The final score this Saturday. I don't really know what to say about Mark Stoops and the Cats other than that whatever they were doing early on to bring this program to relevance, it doesn't seem to be working anymore. And it doesn't work, period, against competent opponents. Kentucky has really struggled with average to above average SEC teams. And here's the thing. I don't think South Carolina is an average to above average team in this conference this year. I think that they're going to, frankly, suck. We saw it happen against Old Dominion, and they came out here and they physically dominated the Wildcats in the trenches. Remember the big blue wall? Remember how physical this offense used to be? Remember how physical, not just the offensive line, but the tight ends, the running backs, the receivers, how just Kentucky was able to run the ball down anybody's throat at any point. And when they wanted to pass, they had really solid pass protection. They had guys downfield that were just big, tall, explosive playmakers. You've still got that talent on paper, on roster, but the coaching doesn't really seem to be there, at least not in games like this. I don't know what Shane Beamer's got on Mark Stoops and company, but he's got them read like a book. I think Kentucky's the more talented team still coming out of this game, but this is just a really poor coaching job in my opinion. The offensive line was hilariously bad. I mean, hilariously bad. The tight ends weren't very good as well. The running game with Demi Sumo Karngbe, I mean, it's just as good as you can get right now with the way that the running back room looks. You don't have Chip Trainum still. You're trying to get Jason Patterson comfortable as a freshman. He looked okay, 4.5 yards per carry as a freshman. Karngbe had 70 yards rushing, but the offensive line and the passing game. Brock Vandegrift, 3 of 10 for 30 yards and an interception. Gavin Wimsatt, 3 of 7, 14 yards and an interception. 6 of 17, 44 yards and 2 picks. 44 yards passing against a South Carolina team that, mind you, the week before almost lost to Old Dominion. There is nothing to say here other than this is just an incredibly poor coaching effort. The talent on this team is good enough to beat essentially anybody in this conference, in my opinion. You couldn't get it done against a team that should have lost to Old Dominion. You cannot figure out how to pass block. You cannot figure out how to run the ball more effectively. You cannot figure out, frankly, on defense, how to do anything efficiently. Lenora Sellers, 11 of 15, 159 yards, 2 touchdowns. Sure, you were able to stop the run a little bit, but South Carolina did enough in the passing game, and they created turnovers. You cannot stop a nosebleed in your secondary, and it's super, super frustrating. And some people may say, well, it wasn't a ton of yards, or, well, Lance, you look back over the last few years, and actually, the guys haven't done that bad. Over these last several years, there has been just progressively worse and worse and worse play in the secondary when it comes to being leaky, giving up completions. They may not be the most explosive plays, but you're giving up completions. You're allowing enough for the opposition to get down the field and get in scoring position. And far too often, frankly. And Kentucky's doing this at home. They're not doing this just consistently on the road, and they're coming back to Kroger Field, and they're blowing out whoever it may be. No, they're doing this on the road, at home, and at neutral site games. They're doing this all over the place. I don't know what it is, coaching-wise, but something has to change. I mean, something has to change quick, or the Wildcats just simply, it may be time for Stoops to move on, because let's be clear, he tried to do it. He tried to leave just a few months ago, several months ago, I should say. This could be it. Who knows?